Ethan, back at the whiteboard, and in today's video I wanted to tell you guys about what I'm calling the big three when it comes to personal finance. Now before I get into this video, I want to ask you to go ahead and hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Alright, so the big three are assets, liabilities, and cash flow. So real quick, an asset is going to be anything that puts money in your pocket. A liability is going to be anything that takes money out of your pocket, and cash flow is going to refer to where that money is going. Real quick example, is a house a liability or an asset? Well, it depends. If you buy that house and you have a mortgage on it and you're paying every month into it, that's going to be a liability because it's taking money out of your pocket. Whereas if you purchase that house and turn it into a rental and maybe you're profiting $100 every month off of it, well, that's putting $100 in your pocket every month. That's going to be an asset. Now let's take a look at cash flow. Go ahead and use a different color here. So most people get their income from the job, okay? So usually how this goes is you get your income from the job, and the path of, most people will call it poor, will call it financial scarcity, is you get your money comes from the job, and it goes out to expenses, okay? Now expenses are groceries, rent, okay? Things of that nature. And at the end of the day, you're left with zero. Okay, money comes in, money goes out. You're operating at financial red line. There's no surplus of cash left over. Okay, that's financial scarcity, or you could refer to this as poor. Okay, let's head over here. Another model is you get your income from your job, and then from there, your income goes towards liabilities and then towards expenses. Okay, now that is what we would call middle class. Okay, so you make your money and it comes out, and this is going to be, your house. If you have a mortgage payment, maybe a car payment, things of that nature, and then it's going to go out through expenses for your groceries and things like that. Now the next path is what you'd call rich or wealth, and that's going to be where your income actually comes from your assets. Okay, so these are going to be, this could also be a house, that could be a rental property, that could be a business, that could be dividend income coming off of stocks. And typically, what the wealthy do is they get their income from their assets, and then from there, they take that and they put that money back into their assets, right? They build up more assets, more rental properties, more businesses. They increase how big their investments are. And then after they've done all that, then their money goes towards their expenses and their liabilities. Now, if you look at the richest people on the face of the planet, not just the billionaires, but the vast majority of millionaires, and anyone who has some amount of wealth, there's three things they all have in common. Every single one of them, without failure, has some sort of investment, usually in the form of stocks, some sort of business, right? They own a business, they operate a business, or they also have some form of real estate. Every single one, without fail, every single person who's rich to some degree or has wealth, they do at least one of these things, if not more. Now, all these things that wealthy people have, these are all assets, right? That's no coincidence. People that are wealthy, they build their asset column in their personal financial statement, right? Most people don't learn about this kind of stuff, and so that's why they end up having liabilities and mainly expenses, is they don't really get taught how important the asset column is, because when you're able to do this over here, you're building yourself a financial cushion for the future. And the cool thing about this is anyone can do this, right? You could start investing in the stock market with as little as $1, right? You can buy fractional shares. You could start to run a business. You could, start to buy your own real estate properties and stuff like that. When you build assets, you're going to have something to show for all your hard work, right? Whether that's a stock portfolio or a portfolio of real estate properties or a business or anything of that nature, because when all you have are liabilities and expenses, you're not really going to return any economic value back out of this stuff, right? Your rent's just going away, your groceries going away, you're never going to get any of that monetary value back. Whereas over here, if you can consistently build your assets, you're going to have that cushion to fall back on, when times get tougher, when you head into retirement. And probably one of the biggest advantages when it comes to, building your assets instead of your liabilities, and especially where your income comes from, is when all you have is a job, you get taxed a lot differently than, in your asset column. So if you have a job, you're going to have, personal income tax, possibly state income tax, depending on where you are, and all sorts of other kinds of taxes. Whereas when you're getting your income from your assets, you have a flat capital gains tax, usually at 15 or 20%, depending on how much your income is. Especially if you have a business, there's all sorts of write-offs and deductions and other things you could do. Whereas with your normal job, there's not a whole lot of tax advantages that you can gain from it. And so that's why it's so advantageous to get a lot of your income from your assets, because there's a lot you can do in the way of taxes there. All right, guys, I appreciate you for making it this far into the video. If you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.